Hi, welcome to episode 16. I just wanted to put a little reminder out there to invite you to start from the beginning of our series so that you can follow along, get a better idea as to
what are the Akashic memories.
Right, yes.
The way Yeshua was conceived, also what the so-called Immaculate Conception. I think there are a lot of points that needs to be understood to really take advantage of this whole series of episodes in this long journey.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out what we're saying if you just kind of come in the middle of one. But, everybody could do what they need to do. But if you want to get a better understanding of the life of Jesus, we do encourage you to start from the beginning.
Yes, and I would also encourage our audience to accept, if they haven't done it yet, accept the notion of reincarnation, which is pivotal to everything we do.
Right.
Yeah. And without accepting the notion of the concept of reincarnation,
it's kind of hard to believe any of this.
None of what we are saying makes sense.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So where do we?
With that being said, our heroes, Yosh Heram and Yeshua, are now leaving the village of Meru Vardhana, near the Lake Dal in Kashmir, and are walking toward the south. Okay, and
they've been walking for a long time.
Yes, and I will be again posting a picture of the itinerary that they are doing. It's close to 1,000 kilometers through the mountains and through the deserts, and they're going to walk because they have sold their horses a while back.
That's right. They needed the money.
They need the money, and they couldn't, take care of them. And so they're asking the locals, do you think it's a good time to leave now? Because they are still in the mountains at very high altitude, close to 3,000 meters high. And so the locals are telling them, yeah, spring is coming and the mountains are easy to cross.
Right.
As long as you spare your water and you walk with a brisk walk. Okay.
Spare your water and walk fast.
Walk fast, yes.
Basically.
To do that 1,000 kilometers that they are planning to do, yeah. So they decided to leave, Yeshua is probably 15 years old, yeah, he's 15 now. But Yosh Heram is much older. We don't know exactly how old he is.
Can you imagine being 15 and going on that kind of journey?
Well,
yeah.
He's not
your typical 15-year-old.
He's not.
I know I wouldn't have been able to do it at 15, but it's really something.
Yeah. So they are basically encountering, fresh nights and then also scorching days in the heat of the deserts, and they basically move out of Kashmir into what is now Pakistan, and then into India. Along this journey of 1,000 kilometers. And Yeshua loves the attire of the Indian people.
Oh,
especially
I do too.
The Indian women,
Yeah.
And they love the clothing with lots of colors and lots of bracelets all around their arms.
Women. So pretty.
So they also discover the species of animals that they have never seen, or rarely seen, like cows, buffaloes, and some very aggressive monkeys.
I guess that's true. They wouldn't have encountered that on their way anywhere there. Okay.
And those aggressive monkeys are still very dominant and very... they are everywhere in India.
Did you encounter something?
Yes, last time I went to India, there was a lot of. You don't want to mess with those.
No, because they're a gang.
Yes,
serious gang. Yeah, I've seen it on.
They are crossing a lot of small villages, throughout their journey, and they see no wells, no richness, nothing, but and explosions of colors. The red, the yellow, the ochre under a sky of perfect blue.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
No clouds, just perfect weather. And Yeshua is very happy because there are some dromedaries.
Oh, his favorite.
Yeah, you remember that he was very enamored with his dromedary, Sen, that took him all the way from the south of Judea all the way to I forgot, somewhere in Pakistan. Yeah, so it was a long journey. So they are walking to a small lake where the Lord Brahma is revered. Okay, and Yosh Heram is very happy about this trip because he went to the mountain of Solomon when he was younger, but now, being older and being with Yeshua, he's able to go even further away from his native land. So he's very happy about it. Yeah. But he realized that also that his body is aching, all the walks and basically sleeping in,
Oh, could you imagine?
Open sky,
on
with
the
no
ground.
tents. I mean, they only have a couple of bags, that they
And
are carrying.
food-wise too.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
just
they have
a lot.
no mules, no donkey, nothing.
all
So
on them.
they carry everything with them, so they have no tents.
Yeah, that's
So
hard.
they sleep on the ground, and so for a young man like Yeshua, it's probably not so much of an issue, but for Yosh Heram, who is much older, it is a challenge. Yeah. And so Yeshua is trying to heal Yosh.
Oh.
So he's trying to do Reiki energy healing on him.
Right.
But he realized that his hands are not healing. You remember in a previous episode, he has been able to heal multiple people, right? The first time he was healing something, he was actually bringing back to life a horse or a mule.
Right, it was a mule. Right.
Yeah, it was a mule that the Roman had exhausted, basically. And he has one of the previous episodes also, he was able to heal a woman who fell on the mountain of Solomon, right?
Right.
But now he's trying that on Yeshua, and again, it's impossible for him to do anything.
Oh.
So he's actually doubting about his healing capabilities.
Yeah, I guess it's not his time, right? I mean, maybe
Well,
it's time
yeah,
that he...
so-
I mean, not everybody... I mean, yes, you can heal somebody, but when it's their time,
Yes,
it's their time.
right. Yeah.
So,
So I think Yeshua is learning a lesson about when he can heal and when the healing is not going to work.
right.
Yeah, and we will talk about that, especially in the much later in his life when he's healing a lot of people. There are certain cases where the healing doesn't take place, and there are some karmic reasons for that.
All right.
Yeah, so we will go more into details about all this. Yeah.
Can I just do just a little... I just want people to understand that you are translating this from French to English for us. So that's why the notes are needed. I mean, we need to be able to...
I want to make sure that I do not forget any important points.
Right,
yeah.
right,
So that's why I have some notes and I read them as I speak. Yeah. So right now they are crossing the deserts of Rajasthan, so the people can follow on Google Maps where they are. And again, as I told you, Yosh Heram is very touched and humbled by this entire trip. Being able to do that with an avatar like Yeshua is something that is not given to anybody. And the prospect to see a lake now dedicated to the supreme being Brahma is exciting to both Yeshua and Yosh. Okay, and so during this long walk and journey, Yeshua meditates. And as we move along, now that he's becoming older and older, we will be sharing with the audience more of what he is thinking, his reflections, his meditation, because I think it's important for people to understand what is happening.
Right.
So he's meditating on the notion of the so-called celestial father. He's always in connection with what he calls his father, or sometimes he calls it Awun. And he's also thinking about the traditional representation of the Godhead, which is done in most religions, the patriarch, basically, and especially in the Jewish religion, where they always picture that all-powerful man, with a white beard, sitting on a throne and ruling on the humankind,
Right.
which is a very simplistic approach And so Yeshua, not being as simple-minded as other people, is thinking that, well, he's telling himself, if there is a father, there must be also a mother.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
And this concept, again, was totally unacceptable for the people of Galilee, Samaria, and Judea at this time, okay? I mean, the concept of a feminine goddess was accepted in the Carmel School of Mystery, but absolutely impossible to accept by the Jewish priest and the synagogue and the scripture. This is not something. I want to remind again our audience that in the ancient Jewish tradition, a woman is not supposed to read or discuss the scriptures.
Or later on, even touch it if she was menstruating, right? I mean, it was just...
So there are a lot of...
there was so many ways to push women down. It's, it's incredible.
So, again, to go back to what we were saying, in India, there is the ultimate creator, who is called Brahma, but they also have the feminine counterpart under the name of Svarasvati.
Ah.
So we have Brahma and Svarasvati,
okay,
the feminine counterpart. And for Yeshua, that makes perfect sense, It's father, mother.
Right.
It's Brahma, Svarasvati. In the previous religion, it was Ahura and Mazda. And then you wonder, beyond that duality, that male and female concept of God, what is there? Is the nameless, the silence, and he knows that it is not exactly true, because behind and beyond the infinite there is a sound, there is a primordial sound, which creates everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. Yeah? And finally, they arrived near the famous lake, and so again, we will be posting some pictures of that lake. The lake is still there. The shore of the lake are still the way pretty much they were 2,000 years ago.
Oh, they haven't built condos on it or anything?
No, there are a few buildings around it, but I think most of it has been preserved and protected. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So they lay down on 2 flat stones to rest, after this long walk. And around them, there are some steps going into the water, like people may have seen that with the Ganges River, right? We have steps going down the river, so you can swim and bathe into the rivers. And around them, it's building of white, pink, and gold colors, which is quite different, from what they are used to do. And Yeshua noticed also a lot of fish in the lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so the place is called Pushkara. And Pushkara means blue lotus. And the name comes from the fact that, or the legend, that Brahma may have dropped a blue lotus on that lake at one point. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where they kept the name of Pushkara.
Sure, why not?
And Pushkara is a sanctuary in India, full of pilgrims and visitors. And I think even today, nowadays, in our 21st century, it is still a place where a lot of people go to do rituals, pilgrimage, and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, because it's like the local Lourdes in France, for the Christian or the Catholic religion, it's impossible to find a lodging or something.
Okay.
So they decided basically to stay, and they don't have any money, so they decided to stay on the flat stones around the shores,
Right.
And they're going to stay there for 3 days. And one morning, a woman dressed in pink with a lot of bracelets, again, Yeshua is attracted to those
trinket little colors.
Those colors and the gold bracelets. I mean, he's 15 years old, so we can also assume there are certain reaction in his young body that attracts him to, seeing beauty in women and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. And so that woman, who is not young, but she comes to talk to Yeshua, and she's very assertive and confident. And that surprises Yeshua, because he's not in his, again, in his tradition and the way he was in his upbringing, he's not used to women being confident, assertive, and sure about themselves.
Right.
That does not exist in...
enough to be able to walk up to him, have a
Right,
conversation,
exactly,
and know that it's okay to do that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So she introduced herself, and she said, my name is Svarasvati. And that again surprises Yeshua, because we know it is the name of the female godhead, like the spouse of Brahma. And the good stuff is that she speaks the language of the Dal Lake. So she speaks the language of Meru Vardhana, the village where they spent a year and a half before coming here.
That helps.
That helps a lot, yeah. And so that lady asked Yeshua, show me your hands, please, So she wants to read the lines of his
palm
hands.
reading, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Yeshua is a little bit surprised, but he does it. And again, he likes very much our eyes. He compares these eyes to like two pearls.
Oh, interesting.
And even though, our face is tan and quite wrinkled, our eyes are absolutely mesmerizing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she looks at the palm of Yeshua, and then she says, "You are not here for Brahma, right? You didn't come for that." And Yeshua responded, "Well, I do not know who is Brahma. And when you search, you do not limit yourself to a name. You try to go beyond that."
Right.
And so the lady says, "Yeah, you're right. Your hands tells me that you do not intend to play with Maya." Okay, so maybe we need to explain to our audience what is Maya. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but Maya is the illusion. It's the matrix. Okay, in other terms, it's where we live in a three-dimensional world. Okay, so she tells Yeshua, "You are not here to play with Maya." And she also said, Shiva already implanted his trident inside you. So that means Shiva gave you the energy in your heart already.
Oh, okay. For him.
For him, yeah, for Yeshua.
So she could see that.
Yeah. So she could see that by reading the palm of his hand. Okay. So Yeshua is a little bit surprised, and he's questioning. He said, "Are you He's surprised that she knows so much about Maya, Shiva. I mean, again, is coming from the fact that women are most of the time illiterate and do not have access to the scripture.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he's asking her, "Are you the spouse of a Brahmin?" And she said, No. There are no Brahmin or priest among my people. We don't have any of that. It is forbidden.
Oh, okay.
We are different.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she goes on by saying that our ancestors are coming from far, far away, from these tall mountains in the north. So she's pointing to the Himalayas, further north. It was a very long time ago. And so Yeshua is now puzzled, and he's asking her, "Can you tell me more? I mean, is it a secret?" And she responds to him, and she says, "No, I can tell you more, but it is difficult, and I don't want to do it in a public place like here."
Okay.
So at the same time, Yeshua realized that she suffers from some kind of emotional wound. And so he said, maybe there is something that can be done there to help her. And so the lady Svarasvati, she invites Yeshua to come to her home in the evening, and she happens to live in the east of the outskirts of Pushkara, away from the rest of the village. And we are going to understand why they live away from the rest of the village. Yeah. So, of course, Yosh and Yeshua, when the evening comes, meets Svarasvati in the evening.
Yeah.
And she's waiting for them near a gate of the village, And then she leads them to a group of 3 or 4 homes made of dirt. okay, and very, very poor. And she enters the largest one of the houses. And they are immediately surrounded by about 15 adult people who she probably told them that she would have, they would have visitors. And there are a bunch of kids also running around them. And so,
big family reunion.
Family reunion, and then, the curiosity of the newcomers. Yeah.
Right.
And among those people is someone called Gulim. Gulim is the father of the Svarasvati. And so the good stuff is that everybody speaks the language of Merovardhana.
Oh,
so they can exchange very easily. And apparently that language is an ancient form of the Urdu, which is still spoken throughout India today.
What's it called again?
Urdu.
Urdu. Okay.
Yeah. Urdu, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All over India, or just a certain part?
Certain parts more than others, but during my trip to India, I realized that there are more people who know how to speak Urdu than they know how to speak Hindi, which is the official language.
Okay. Is it easier than Hindi?
Perhaps. Perhaps, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So Svarasvati tell them that they are staying away from people who are not different. So again, we want the audience to understand that they are staying away from people who are not
So they want different people.
They want to be surrounded by people who are different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important. And she feels that Yeshua and Yosh Heram are different and as such can be trusted.
Oh, okay.
So Yeshua asked her, what do you mean by being different or being non-different? So being not different means
it's kind of hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a little tongue twister.
Right. It's all reversed. Yeah.
Right.
So it means being immobile, right? It means to be petrified in daily routines.
Okay.
Crystallized.
Okay.
Doing always the same thing.
Oh, I see. I see. Right.
It means not able to go against the traditions and the ideas which have been inscribed in your mind by the generations before you.
Okay, so be a little bit more expansive. Open up to change different things, and
so,
a little bit more expansive.
Not being different means all this, right?
Oh, okay.
It means being asleep. Mm-hmm. It means being afraid.
Right.
It means being stuck with the same limitations over and over.
The whole generational
stuckness. It means being loving very little. Okay? And also it means feeling that they know everything and that they have nothing else to learn.
All right, okay. I've learned everything. Don't fill my mind with anything else.
So,
I got it.
I don't want to criticize, but I would say that
there are certain
a good chunk of the humankind today is probably not different.
Right. It's kind of hard saying that, isn't it? Now, what does that mean again? No. Okay.
So Yeshua again, listening to that, he's always in his mind, processing all the information and thinking, and he says, And he thinks about all this and the list that she gave, and she said, and he realized that these people, the Jewish people, he wonders if this is not exactly what motivated him to travel far away, because
he needed
a change.
Right.
He needed to see people who are different.
Who are different, right? Who are not different.
Right. He was kind of tired of the not different.
Right.
He needed to find something which is different, right? Something which is unusual. People who are more deeper, who have more things.
I think that's what I kind of look for, and you look for too,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
You want people who you can have conversations with.
And again, this is not a judgment; it's just an observation.
Right?
There are some people, due to the current limitation of the spiritual development, who are stuck in a certain routine. And
you just need to meet people where they are. Doesn't mean you have them all the time, right? I mean, it's just
And so again, Yeshua is thinking about it, and he's saying, what I'm coming for is really spreading what he calls the intelligence of love.
I like that.
That's really what he's after, yeah. And so our young Yeshua asks Svarasvati why they are living outside of the village. He wants to understand that. And she tells him that it is not a choice, okay, but more like a curse.
Oh.
Yeah. And we're going to understand why. And she starts telling the story of our people. And apparently it was a very long time ago. And again, the notion of time is not precisely given, but it was more like 1,000 years ago, a long, long time ago. After a great destruction of the land took place, and when the skies were just coming back to their normal states.
Okay.
So it was a destruction that caused the sky to be perhaps completely obscured or polluted, who knows. Again, the nature of that destruction is not given to us.
Okay.
We can imagine what it could be. It could be a
reset,
flood,
basically,
flood.
right?
Yeah, it could be a flood. It could be maybe some cosmic impact.
Right.
Yeah, it could be a nuclear explosion, from previous culture or outsiders. It is difficult to say. And so the people found refuge on top of the mountains in the north. So basically, that tribe of people that Svarasvati belonged to found refuge on top of the mountains.
Okay.
They were probably close enough, and they could go there. And so the wise people of that culture, they led all the other people to the top of the mountains, and that they stayed near the portal of a very mysterious land, which is in the Himalayas. And the wise master basically lived in that place. So they don't know too much about that mysterious land. They were never invited into the mysterious land. But apparently they communicated with some of the emissaries or ambassadors of that mysterious lands. And those, they call them masters, people who are coming from that mysterious land. And they said that those masters could mold time and carve the matters according to their will. There were wise people who drank the sun and exchanged with other suns and planets.
Huh. Interesting.
So
they drank the sun.
They drank the sun. And Yeshua uses that expression quite a lot. It means, being in direct relationship with the sun and drinking the energy and receiving the wisdom of the solar logos. Yeah. And when she says about exchanging with other planets and sun, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is that they had exchanges with extraterrestrial cultures. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So for 1,000 years, the people of Svarasvati lived in the vicinity of that magic and mysterious land, and they were trusted by the masters, and they became the guardians of the portal to that mysterious land. So they were in charge of keeping the portal safe and preventing outsiders to get into it. But unfortunately, some of the wise people among the tribe of Svarasvati started appropriating and stealing some of the secrets from that mysterious land.
Oh,
yes. And they had forgotten that, pure wisdom
happened from the beginning of time to the end of time, I'm sure.
And knowledge, can only be acquired with time and efforts.
Right.
So they try to cut corners and they create their own demise.
Oh.
And so because of that, they were rejected and pushed away towards the valleys and deserts with the rest of the humans who had been repopulating in the meantime.
Okay.
The lower lands. Okay, so they were pushed away from the top of the mountains all the way down to the valleys and the rest. And when they came into the lower lands, the humans who were living there start calling them Boha-me.
Oh.
Boha-me, which means go away, get out,
Okay.
stay away from us. And again, we would write that Boha-me. So since those times, the tribe of Svarasvati have always been rejected, and they keep all the Hindus and all the people keep calling them Boha-me. So at that point, I think we should talk about the origin of the word Bohemian. I mean, we saw the origin of the word, but I think the modern word is Bohemian.
Okay.
Okay, that's where it's coming from. And I'm sure our audience have heard about the gypsies, right?
Right.
And the Bohemians, and basically a culture which always live in the fringe of society, right? And it's not so much in the US, but I mean, coming from a European background, I can tell that gypsies are very prevalent everywhere in Europe.
Absolutely.
Yes, and they are always sometimes a disturbance to the life of the regular people like us.
Right, right.
Yeah, because unfortunately, their way of living and their way of coming into a place is not exactly very legitimate and polite. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So I think we are talking about the same thing. And that explains why Svarasvati and our tribe and our clan are living away from the other Hindus living in Pushkara, in the village of the lake. So Svarasvati explained that the so-called light masters from the mysterious land chased their people away and put a curse upon them.
Right.
So at that point, Yeshua is compelled to say something. He said, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Yes, like why?
Yeah. Light master would never have used a spell or a malediction, upon your people.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. So again, 15-year-old Yeshua, is stepping into the conversation and saying to Svarasvati and to the group of people around him that what you guys are suffering is a self-inflicted poisoning of your soul. Yeah. From generation to generation, you have transmitted that poison made of mostly of guilt. And this poison is in your mind, and you must forgive yourselves. And that's the only way you can actually heal it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting.
Well, he came a long way to help them, huh?
Right. So Gulim, the father of the Svarasvatis, does not understand as he believed, but he said, but our ancestors are the one who faulted, we are not responsible for what they did 1,000 years ago. And Yeshua responded to him that, Gulim, you could be a reincarnation of your ancestors.
Yeah.
Okay? You are bringing back the guilt and the poison again.
Yeah, from the DNA, right?
And what I can say today about the gypsies, I mean, I never really frequented the gypsies in France, but I mean, I saw some of them and I had a couple of interactions. I can say that they still have this, not so much the guilt, but this feeling that they are different from the rest of the people, and that they deserve certain things, and that they will take it no matter what.
Entitlement issues?
Entitlement issues,
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I would say that the guilt and the poison have morphed into something else. Yeah. So we won't go into more details about that, but it can be a problem.
Right.
And so our hostess lady Svarasvati explained that the Hindus are calling them Hanabadosh, which means they are outside of the caste.
Oh,
so
okay.
India was already split into multiple castes, as it is today. A little bit less today, but it's still.
I think they're working on that.
They're working on it, but it's still, unfortunately,
it's really
very present. Yeah. And so Hanabadosh means they are impure. They are the lowest caste.
Like they're dirty.
Yeah, which is also called the untouchables.
Oh.
Or what Gandhi called the Arijan. That was a very beautiful name. Arijan means the children of God.
Oh.
So Gandhi didn't want to call the lower caste, untouchable. Instead, he called them Arijan.
What a nice way to look at them, right?
God.
I mean,
yes.
try to shift people's minds,
Yes.
that we're all children of God, right?
We are all
Doesn't matter
God,
where you were born into.
Right.
Right.
So Yeshua again, after that, listening to that speech, realized that, okay, he tells the group that God never punishes. There is no reason to do it because God knows that we're going to punish ourselves so much better.
We're so good at that.
Right? We don't have to be punished by God or
Right.
by a vengeful God. I mean,
Right.
we do inflict all the poisons and all the problems to ourselves, right?
It's hard to imagine that God would be vengeful on their children, right? I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to conceive that.
So we have to understand that the free will that is being given to us is also being used to put us into jails.
Right.
Right? I mean, mind jails, physical jails, traditional jails. I mean,
Right.
we have all kind of jails. And this is simply due to the fact that we have free will.
Right.
When you think about it. And so Yeshua and Yosh, after this big evening, which is very enlightening, and hopefully the teaching of Yeshua will,
Help shift people.
Yeah, will help shift their mind and get them out of this poisonous guilt that they are perpetuating from generation to generations. So they are leaving the group. And Yeshua cannot stop admiring the eyes of Svarasvati. Again, he's mesmerized by those two pearls. I mean, he finds them extremely
It's interesting how he calls them pearls. I'm trying to picture what that would be,
well, I guess
what color that would be.
Maybe the white of her eyes are very, very
that's
clear.
probably what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of the tanning of the dark complexion of her skin,
right.
they're probably very...
they stand out more.
They stand out more, yeah. And so, again, I mean, we're just transcribing what the Akashic memories are saying. He's absolutely mesmerized by those two pearls. Yeah. And so, Svarasvati, before leaving them, bring them around the house where she lives, and she showed them a triangular stone, which is part of the building. And that stone is a triangular shape. It has 3 circles in it. And for our audience who have seen the previous episode, that should remind you, this is the symbol of Shambhala.
All right.
So that means that Svarasvati is in possession of a stone that represents Shambhala, which our ancestors were supposed to guard because they had access to the portal leading to Shambhala.
Okay.
And that's how they got this symbol from.
Very, very interesting. Very good. Wow.
So that's the end of the story for today.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to another session.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Our next session will be a trip to Benares.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's still in India?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, they're going to be in India for many, many years. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.